Back on the Young Turks. So the Republicans signed on to Congressman Paul Ryan's budget plan, which turns Medicare into a voucher system and says, good luck to you. Medicare would become, your health insurance, if you're above 65, would eventually become much more expensive through the private market, and there would be no guaranteed coverage. Now, people hate that because we're nervous wrecks over our health care coverage for our entire lives. Once we finally make it to 65, it's like a safe haven. You're like, oh, thank God, I made it. Now I can actually get some guaranteed benefits. Is Medicare perfect? Not at all. But are people generally happy with it? Absolutely. Poll after poll. I've shown you how many polls on this show. 10, 20 that all say 75% or higher support for Medicare, that say don't cut it under any circumstances, don't cut it to trim the budget, et cetera, et cetera. But the Republicans, being the knuckleheads that they are, went and cut it anyway. In that Ryan budget plan, they turn it into a voucher system, they cut how much they're going to give you, etc. Disastrous idea. Whole new set of polls, every single one of them saying the same thing, 78% opposed, etc., right? When they find out all the details of the Ryan plan, 84% opposed. So now the Republicans are going back to their home districts and they're having some town hall events, and they're getting elbows dropped on their heads left and right. Paul Ryan himself was at an event. A lifelong conservative comes out and says, hey, listen, what are you doing here, man? We don't want you cutting our Medicare, and why do you keep giving tax breaks to the rich? Paul Ryan says, oh, we do tax the top. They start booing. They're like, boo, Siktalan, Geet. And they're rough talking him and run him out of his own town hall. And he's like, damn. He's like, oh, but you don't understand. No, we do understand. You're giving more and more breaks to the rich, and we've had enough. Right? And by the way, most popular way to cut the deficit? Tax people making over $250,000. As I have told you from the get-go, I was 100% right about it. The idiot conventional wisdom in Washington was 100% wrong about it. So anyway, Ryan's plan, 1,000,000% wrong. People are sick of it. Now it's spread to other congressmen. So Representative Lou Barletta in Pennsylvania goes to a town hall event. There's a woman who does not like this plan. Next thing you know, a whole fight breaks out between the two different sides verbally. We got that on tape. Let's watch it.
That seniors are going to lose their benefits, I'm telling you right now, it's an outright lie. This plan does nothing to affect anyone 55 years and older. And I honestly, when we start doing things to scare senior citizens, when politicians do that to get elected, I believe they need to find a different occupation. Because if this is what you need to do to get yourself elected and to keep your job, I don't believe you deserve that job. And I will not vote for anything that will pull the rug out from underneath of the senior citizens. So,
I'm here to get something off my chest, and that is, you seem to think that because I'm not affected, I won't care if my niece, my grandson, my child is affected. I do care. And what you're doing with this Ryan budget is you're taking Medicare and you're changing it from a guaranteed health care system to one that is a voucher system where you throw seniors, I'm 64, you throw seniors on the mercy of for-profit insurance companies. You did not run on any, you said nothing in the campaign about I'm going to change Medicare. Now you voted for a plan that will destroy Medicare.
well, I won't destroy Medicare. Medicare is going to be destroyed by itself.
I have a great way for you.
Let him talk. Let him talk. Sit down.
I have a great way.
Sit down.
Great way for you.
Sit down.
Take the tax cuts that are given to the wealthy 2%.
Sit down.
Put it into Medicare.
I agree with her. And you know what? Why don't you tell me to sit down?
Sit down.
She's an American citizen.
I am.
No, maybe you don't
Let him talk.
believe in free speech.
Hold on a second.
Why don't you show some manners and shut your mouth and let her talk?
Hold on, sir.
Why
Please sit
don't you
down.
grow up and stop acting like a bunch of little boys?
Sit down.
Make me.
Whenever you hear that seniors are going to lose their benefits, I'm telling you right now, it's an outright lie. This plan does nothing.
All right. So first of all, are senior citizens going to lose their benefits? Well, it depends on how you frame it. So, of course, the Republicans were afraid that senior citizens would vote against them because they love Medicare. And this plan destroys Medicare. So they did something that they thought was really cute. They said, well, you know what? If you're over 55 already, don't worry. We want your vote, so let us help us to destroy Medicare for people under 55. And then they go, what? We didn't hit the current senior citizens. You should be happy. And I love that woman's point because she got up and said, no, I know, but I got children and I got, nieces, etc. that are under 55. I got loved ones under 55, and I don't want you to destroy their Medicare. And then, there was a little back and talk, and then there was the great stuff that we obviously have to put on the soundboard. Sit down! Sit down! And I like that the guy stood up and was like, oh yeah? Why don't you tell me to sit down? Because I agree with her. We should tax the top 2%. And he said, shut your mouth. Now we're having a town hall. Now we're having fun. What happened, Republicans? You loved it when the Democrats had the town hall where people were getting up and yelling and screaming. They're not going to like these. Remember, we reported a couple of months ago, there was a couple like this, and Sensenbrenner in Wisconsin was like, oh my God, what are they doing? Why are they actually holding me accountable? No, this is only supposed to be for Democrats. So, but look, it ain't just Ryan, it ain't just Barletta. We go to Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Robert Dole, he goes to a town hall event. And at the end of the presentation, according to the Daily Herald, the audience members started peppering him with questions about Ryan's budget. He said, no, but they're like, no. Why are you cutting taxes again by 10% for the top bracket? He said, well, we're not accepting. No. You are. So tell me why you're doing it. And job creators, small business, they're like, not buying it. Okay? So there's a deluge at his town hall. And then he starts to explain. He's like, well, look, we got to cut, okay, I admit it, we're going to cut taxes for the large corporations. But we got to cut those taxes because, otherwise they'll leave the country. Somebody yells out, let them leave! Basically saying, get. Okay? They're like, look, we've had enough of your nonsense BS excuses about, they're holding us hostage. They'll leave the country. They won't create any more jobs. They're already not creating any more jobs. They've already left the country to go hire in China and other places. See, all you are is their corporate robot, and people are on to you. It's an awesome development. Then we go to New Hampshire. Representative Charlie Bass barely won election in a moderate district. And Times Swampland covered this. Jay Newton Small, great job of covering it. Found two swing voters going into the event. Eric Spitzbarth, 62 years old, and his wife, Diane Loomis. They came in. Now, they have voted for Republicans and Democrats in the past. I believe they split the vote, one for McCain, one for Obama last time around. And they've both been on both sides of votes, Republicans and Democrats, as New Hampshire independent as it gets. And you know what they don't like? Brian's Medicare proposal. A same exact thing that everybody's saying. Man, we were looking forward to getting to 65 so we could finally be rid of this, constant worry about health care. Are we covered? Are we not covered? The exorbitant amount that they're paying, et cetera, et cetera. Now you're talking about how you're going to pull the rug out from underneath people that, under the age of 55. When they get there, you don't have it anymore. They're like, no. Spitzbarth says, quote, this is just salt in the wound. So, we can't take it anymore. And by the way, these, again, I believe it was him that voted for McCain. But he said, look, if Obama had just done Medicare buy-in for people that are 60 and above, had so lowered it from 65 to 60, he's like, I would have loved the plan. But as it was, again, it goes to the insurance companies, and then you go to the Republican plan, it's even worse, rub salt in my wound. He's like, I'm stuck. What did we tell you? These are real independents. They're real human beings, not like the fake centrists in Washington who are just doing the bidding of whatever corporate interest they want. These are human beings who are like, I just got to get to Medicare. These health insurance costs are killing me. And so if you had done Medicare buy-in as we suggested, you would have been in much better shape. Your plan would have been 10 times as popular. You know who really fought for the Medicare buy-in? Howard Dean. Oh, liberal, etc. No, the independents would have loved it. How many times did Howard Dean have to win in 2006 and 2008 in all those states and all those districts that they said he couldn't win in when he was the head of the DNC? But nobody ever listens because it's not about that. It's not even about winning the intellectual argument or the idea or the policies. It's about where do I get paid, okay? And people are sick of it. And when finally Loomis was talking to Bass, here's what she said. I like Medicare the way it is. Don't screw it up. Huge applause. Everybody's like, yes, yes. I'll tell you what, man. I think the Republicans really screwed up on this one. This is the kind of historic mistake where I think they're going to be guns. I know. Look, I get it. They get paid to bring it up over and over again to try to destroy Medicare again and again because people make a profit off of these plans. But I think they're going to be gun shy to do this for another 20 years after the shellacking they're getting. Okay. Now, of course, the only people that can rescue them are Democrats with their infinite stupidity. I'm going to get to that in a second. But first, let me show you one more thing, and it's a graph. Jesus, let's pull this up, okay? This gives you an excellent sense of what's happened in this country from 1950 to 2009. So over approximately the last 60 years. Now, Mother Jones had this in a piece called Only Little People Pay Taxes. This is sources of federal tax revenue, okay? And what you see there is the percentage of our tax revenue that we get from these three different sources: corporate, payroll, and individual income tax, okay? When we first start out, the corporate tax, we're getting a significant percentage of our income that way, over 30%. That's the line in red. And it takes a nosedive throughout those years, especially, as we get into the 1970s and 80s, and next thing you know, corporations are paying less than 10%, somewhere between 6 and 8% of the overall taxes, right? So individual income taxes remain fairly steady throughout those years, but what winds up going really high to compensate? Because you got to run the government one way or another. If they don't get the money from the corporations, they got to get it from somebody. Who is it going to be? It's going to be you. So what's gone up as a percentage of the taxes we're collecting is the payroll tax. And the payroll tax affects the poor, the middle class, the average guy. That comes out of all of our checks. And not only that, it's a much higher percentage of our income than it is of the rich. So for the rich, the payroll tax is a tiny percentage of what they make. For you, it's a significant percentage of what you make. But that's what's been going up so that they can lower the corporate tax rates. You've been had. You've been took. You've been swindled. This is what's happening. Why? Because the corporations were allowed to spend money on politics, and what they did was they bought and bought and bought. They bought all the politicians. You know how much BP has spent in the last year lobbying? $2 million. And what are they lobbying for? As an example, they're not even an American company, right? What they want is less regulation, which would mean that the next Deepwater Horizon accident would be more likely to happen. They're like, fantastic, we've learned nothing. We want less regulation. Number two, they don't want to pay the money back. The $20 billion that they promised, they're like, come on, let us skate on that. Why? They're lobbying people. They're paying off politicians. And Republicans currently have 3 different bills up, that are going to pass that, all to deregulate and let them drill more. And of course, that's their third demand. We want even more wells in the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, the first well allowed again after the moratorium in the Gulf of Mexico was half owned by BP. Now, all of this seems outrageous. They have not fixed the blowout preventer. They don't have any plans to be able to contain it any better the next time as they did last time. So what? All you have to do is buy the politicians. And you think it makes a difference on your gas prices whether BP puts another drill in the Gulf of Mexico? The United States has 1.5% of the oil in the world. 1.5%. If you drilled the living hell out of America, it would barely make a dent in oil prices. That's not what it's about. We had a great guest on MSNBC today, Tyson Slocum, and he broke it down. And the president actually very smartly put together a proposal today to look at speculators that are profiting in oil. As Slocum explained on MSNBC, and I'm telling you, you got to check out these shows. It's at 6 o'clock. There's some really great guests with great information. As he explained, and I'm obviously summarizing here, the speculation winds up costing each one of us about 75 cents a gallon. It's not supply and demand. According to supply and demand, it should be about 75 cents less, our gas. You get, like as I said on the show, you get $10, 10 gallons of gas, which is small. That's $7.50 out of your pocket and into Goldman Sachs' pocket. Why do you think they're so incredibly rich with incredible bonuses? They do the speculation on this. They keep the profits. We have to pay a higher price. It's madness. Now, look, am I convinced that the Obama administration, of all things, is really going to crack down on the banks doing the speculation? And by the way, the top people doing oil speculation, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Koch Industries. Ha! Who knew? Gee, those names again. I didn't see that coming. Do I believe the Obama administration is going to crack down on them? Absolutely not. Is it good politics? Yes. By the way, if they actually did, do you have any idea how easily Obama could win re-election? Okay, all he has to do is two things. One, Paul Ryan's plan, piss off. Here's how much of it you're going to get. None of it. Suck it. Okay? Oh, no, but no, the Washington guys will cry and cry and cry. But you weren't centrist. You didn't tackle the budget enough. Why didn't you? You were so irresponsible. Yeah, suck it, okay? Look, those guys are going to kill Medicare, and I'm not going to let them. Those guys want to give the tax cuts tax cuts to the rich again. I'm not going to let them. I'm going to raise taxes on the rich. Boom. First of all, you're gold right there if you actually did that. Of course he won't. Second thing is, if you said, all right, you know what, speculators, I'm coming for you, okay? We're going to do some real regulation. I'm going to come here with a couple of pipe-hitting fellas, okay? And we're going to go to work on our homes. Goldman, get ready. Oh, get your kneecaps ready. I'm coming for you, okay? If he did that, and he actually ended the speculation on oil, and prices dropped by 75 cents per gallon, now, okay, say it drops only 50 cents, whatever it is. But it drops like that after he does the crackdown? I cannot begin to describe to you how easily he would coast to re-election, especially because he's likely to be running against a lunatic. But why won't you do it? Why won't you do it? Look, the Obama fans are going to say, I'm being grossly unfair, because today Obama appointed that commission, so we should give it a chance. We should. Good luck with that. See what happens. Look, I've got a breadth of experience. I'm not making this stuff up. I've been telling you 100 times over what's going to happen, and it is what has happened. So, perfectly appropriate for that is the next topic. So, just when the Democrats got the Republicans where they want them, and the Republicans are running for the hills, Paul Ryan's plan is a debacle. They're getting killed in the town halls, etc., etc. Here come the Democrats to the rescue. Story out today saying that the Democrats are increasingly wary of being held hostage in the debt ceiling debate. Why are they held hostage? They're in an awesome political situation. Only an idiot Democrat would think that they were being held hostage. You have the upper hand, schmucks. They're like, oh my God, the Republicans say they won't raise the debt ceiling. Okay, if they don't, you say, look at these some of my bitches with their stupid plans, and now they put the economy in a tailspin because they wouldn't raise the debt ceiling. Besides which, it's BS. Of course they're going to raise the debt ceiling. Wall Street and the Chamber of Commerce already told their dogs in the Republican Party to raise the debt ceiling. You think they're going to disagree with Wall Street? Wall Street Journal had an article about it. The business interests told the Republicans, heel, sit down, bow your head. You better raise that debt ceiling. Because it would affect their business interests. It would affect their money. No way the Republicans are going to vote against that. But the Democrats, again, either in their infinite stupidity or just the fact that they're trying to throw the game, right, have said, "Oh my, they're in a panic. Oh no, what's going to happen? What if they don't raise the debt ceiling? We have to give them something." So what are they planning on giving them? Well, it's called a CAP Act. Apparently the House is going to pass it. And it's a good story out of the Huffington Post. You can read it for yourself, decide for yourself, what you think of it. But it's got very good reporting in it, and you will see that, and they've been right many times before, that the House will, once they pass it, will then put the Senate in a tough spot, as the article explains, because the Senate, of course, isn't going to do anything because they're bumbling Democrats. And then they're going to go, "Oh my God, that's the only option. What can we do?" So what does the CAP Act do? CAP Act says that the percentage of GDP in terms of our spending, the government spending, has to be capped at 20.6. That means that if you spend more than 20.6 of the GDP in the budget, they say, okay, that's it, you can't spend anymore. And they start cutting all programs, including entitlements, meaning Social Security, Medicare, etc. It's a hard cap. It is actually the most draconian spending cut because there's no negotiation, there's no argument, there's no discussion of which programs to cut. It's just we hack, okay? And does it raise revenue at all? What the Democrats claim they're fighting for. Can we look at the revenue side? Increasing taxes for people making over $250,000. No, it does not include revenue at all. So it is a disastrous plan. And now the Democrats are talking about, oh my God, I guess we got to pass it. I don't know. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Some of them are opposed to it, but when time starts running out and we're getting close to the debt ceiling, we're probably going to have to give in to the Republicans. Well, they're hopeless, but it's not, if they do this, nobody can be this stupid. Come on. No, if I tried really, really hard to find people this stupid and weak, I'd have to look and look and look throughout the country. It'd take me quite a long time. These guys are the Washington Generals if they do this. And again, I always preface it with if, right? And then once they do it, I come and I rip my hair out again, right? But again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the reporting is somehow wrong. They got their sources wrong, whatever it might be, right? But we're going to find out very soon because the debt ceilings, we're going to run into a significant problem basically in July. It's just a couple of months away. If the Democrats fold again, and by the way, one of the heads of the SEIU said that this wouldn't be a compromise, but a complete capitulation by Democrats and our values. So if they do it again, no, that's it, man. They're corporate, robots just like the rest of them, and they are the guys who are supposed to lose, pulling the wool over your eyes. If you don't run primaries against every single one of these Democrats and rip them down and throw them out of office, you're crazy. Then you have the abuse that they're about to heap on you coming because you never held them accountable. We need real strong progressives in this country who don't give a damn about the Democrats. Oh, my dad was a Democrat. My mom was who cares? I don't care if your Aunt Willie or Millie, Aunt Willie would be fascinating, was a Democrat. Get up off your ass and be a real progressive and get these guys out of office if they're not going to, if they're all they're going to do is do exactly what the Republicans tell them to do. Okay? Primary them. And don't listen to anything about, oh no, but primaries. Hell no, man. Push them to the left. This is nonsense. Let's see. If they do, you got to go nuclear over this. Nobody can be this stupid and weak. Nobody. Young Turks.
Welcome back to the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian, Cenk with you. Jerry Seinfeld and Donald Trump are experiencing a war of words. It turns out that Jerry Seinfeld was supposed to show up at a charity event that Donald Trump's son Eric set up. It was for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And after Seinfeld found out that Donald Trump is a birther and is accusing Barack Obama of not being a citizen of the United States, he decided to pull out of the charity. Well, Donald Trump was upset about that, so he wrote a letter to Jerry Seinfeld, which the Washington Post obtained and then wrote about. So in the letter, Donald Trump wrote, "I just learned you canceled a show for my son's charity because of the fact that I'm being very aggressive with respect to President Obama, who is doing an absolutely terrible job as our leader. We don't care that you broke your commitment, even though the children of St. Jude are very disappointed, and despite the fact that your manager clearly stated you are truly a man of his word. And then later on, he goes on to make fun of Jerry Seinfeld and the fact that he had a reality show called The Marriage Ref, which failed. And look, Jerry Seinfeld's response to it, in my opinion, was pretty classy. All he said, his rep released a statement that said, Jerry feels this kind of demagoguery, sorry about that, has no place in public discourse. He has respectfully withdrawn from this event and is making a contribution both to the Eric Trump Foundation and to St. Jude.
So, a couple of things here. First, Seinfeld was giving to the charities all along, so that has nothing to do with it. Second of all, I love that Trump has criticized them for not having a sufficiently successful TV show. Well, yes, Marriage Ref didn't do too well. His other TV show, on the other hand, was only one of the best performing TV shows of all time.
I know.
So it's like saying to Babe Ruth, oh yeah, but you struck out a couple of times. Yeah, he did, but he was also Babe Ruth. So, I mean, the guy has no sense of like what makes sense, what doesn't, what's logical. He doesn't care. He's just like an attacking machine. He's an overdrive. You know what he did this morning? He put out an op-ed in the USA Today saying, I'm done with the birther issue. It's the media's fault. They keep asking me about it, and I'm not going to answer any more questions about it. And then he went on 2 morning shows and talked about the birther issue for minutes on end. And then he brought up his private detective and how he was on the case and he was going to find shocking results about the birth certificate. What happened to the op-ed you published in the morning? Right? He can't help himself. So when Seinfeld pulls out, he's like, great, media opportunity, must attack famous person. Attack, 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 attack. And it doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. It doesn't matter if it gets him in trouble. And it's going to, man. Seinfeld's right. This is basically destroying Trump's brand. That he, because what he did was he built the brand by overhyping. So he thinks that you cannot hype enough. But he's pissing a lot of people off, and they think you're being ridiculous and you're kooky and you're a joke. And I think he's doing great damage to the Trump brand. It's going to go from being seen as like, oh, Trump rich to, oh, Trump clown.
Yeah, it's quickly going to Trump clown. And in fact, yesterday, Michael Smerconish was talking about this. I know. And he had a guest on. It was funny because Michael Smerconish is on the same camp as we are when it comes to dealing with Donald Trump, right? He has the exact same opinions, exact same thoughts. But, a Republican member of his audience decided to call in and share his commentary and his thoughts. And just listening to this guy support Donald Trump made me cringe. How could you support this guy? He's such a clown. I mean, he's in the media. He's making a fool out of himself. You're right, Cenk. He publishes that op-ed, and then he goes off talking about how Obama isn't a U.S. citizen. The best part about that caller, by the way, he tried to interpret the Constitution, and all of this craziness about what it means to be a U.S. citizen, it was just the funniest thing in the world. Basically, his argument was that you don't even need to be born in the United States, but I don't know, your parents had to have been born here. There's just crazy caller. But it amazes me because there's so many people out there who support Donald Trump and think that what he's doing is almost heroic.
Yeah, well, that's because, if you do the 9/11 inside job thing and you mention that on air, there's going to be a certain percentage of people who think you're heroic and brave for bringing that up. But you know what? Like, on that note, certainly that is brave because that's, whether it's right or wrong, and I think it's wrong, but because you'll get so much disdain and you get driven out of the mainstream media, et cetera, et cetera. But with the birther issue, 45, they just, a new poll out, 45% of Republican voters think that Obama is not born in the United States. 22% say that they don't know. So more than 2/3 of Republican voters are lunatics. I mean, they're lunatics. So what are you going to do? I mean, I guess if you're a Republican, you have to say, yeah, oh, of course, yes. Let's be crazy together. It's fantastic. So, Trump, last thing on Trump, because, God knows I've discussed it enough times on MSNBC, but he's worse than Sarah Palin. The guys that, I'm not saying he's dumb, because it's a really open question as to whether he's an idiot or, this is somehow clever, and that he has a particular kind of smarts in how to market himself, et cetera, et cetera. But there's no question he's wildly ignorant. Two things that I was shocked by. I mean, it was, as I said, Sarah Palin-esque. One, he has no idea how many people are in the House of Representatives. Now, look, if you're a regular dude and you don't know that, that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's not your job to know, right? But if you're running for president and you don't know there's 435 people in the House, I don't know. I'm blown away by that. I mean, I knew that in 8th grade. And I'm it's crazy. Anyway, and then the second thing is, so you say you get beyond that. Okay, he didn't know the exact number. All right. Savannah Guthrie's asking him about Roe versus Wade, and says, do you believe in the right to privacy? And he's like, of course I do. I'm pro-life. I'm like, no. And then she's like, right to privacy. He's like, why are you even asking about the right to privacy? What does that have to do with Roe versus Wade? Because that's what Roe versus Wade was based on. Again, if you're a plumber or you're a dentist, there's no reason you need to know that. But if you're running for president, that's a pretty important decision you should be fairly familiar with.
Man, that's so embarrassing. But look at the people that the Republicans have to represent them. The Sarah Palins, the Donald Trumps. These are people that are considering running for president. I'd be embarrassed. I don't know. That's just me.
No, Trump is like in the top 3 in every single poll and leading in some of the polls in the Republican field. Just stop being a Republican, okay? You're embarrassing yourself. Just stop. That's my overall point.
All right, one final story that I promised you guys. So more schools in the U.S. are now including student BMIs on report cards. So they measure a student's weight versus height, and if that student is deemed overweight according to the BMI, that information will be placed on a report card so the parent will see. Now, when I first read this story, I was iffy on it because I feel like it's the school overreaching, overstepping. Do they really need to do that? But then I found out that 84% of parents think that their kids are healthy, that their kids are not overweight, when in reality, more than 1/3 of children in the United States at this point are either overweight or obese. Okay, so they seem to be kind of oblivious to it. But is it a school's place to get involved in this?
Look, if you do the math on that, it means that about half of the parents who have overweight or obese kids don't realize it. Okay, I guess that's bad. No, it's not the school's place. It's the parents' place. They should be concerned about it. I would certainly be concerned about it if it was my child. But I don't want the school snooping in and saying, oh, your kid's a little too fat, or, this, that. Look, just teach them what you're going to teach them. And look, if you give him a bad grade in gym, no problem. I got no problem with that. Because, whether he's skinny or, overweight, whatever it is, he's got to bust his ass in gym. Or I'm not saying that. And I remember this one kid we had who was like a really smart kid, but just hated gym. And he once got a D in gym. It made his head explode. He's like, no! Anyway. But if you send my kid home with A in English, B in math, A in science, F in BMI. What does F stand for? Fat ass. No. Not acceptable.
Right, and the problem that I have with this is, look, if they want to, as you mentioned, include it as part of the gym class, and they want to include it as part of the grade, then that makes sense. But the thing that I hate is using BMI as an indicator of whether or not you're overweight or in shape. Okay, BMI is so unreliable and it's so inaccurate. Okay, in fact, the New York Times wrote this article about how health experts are now saying that we need to get rid of the BMI. We need to measure fat versus lean tissue. And that's way more important and a much more accurate indicator of whether or not you're overweight and whether or not you're fit.
You know what? I'm coming out even stronger. Now, this is nonsense, man. It's going to make kids feel terrible. Put aside the boys for a second. You're going to send the girls home with, bad grades in BMI? Like saying, oh, no, you're too fat? Oh, that's terrible. No. I don't want the school doing that. That's crazy. I mean, for my purposes, you know, I had this discussion with Wendy. What happens if Pro is a little chubster, right? Well, you know what? Then we gotta, you know, I think when he gets old enough, then I'd go jogging with him. I'd go play basketball with him. I would go and exercise with him, right? But you gotta leave that up to me. I gotta be the parents. I can't have the schools, you know, interjecting themselves in our private lives. No, I vote no.
Okay, that does it for today's show. If you're a member, stick around. We have Jonathan Kim. He's going to review the movie Atlas Shrugged. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. The show will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, okay? I'm hosting with Ben, and the show will be live on our website at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. See you tomorrow.